drew a blank on her name. Tina Tamaru. She's speaking at 10 o'clock. Did anybody sign up for her webinar? It's at 10, Tina Tamaru with the Cromfort Report. So she's speaking. I know she speaks several times throughout the month, but so I'm going to be mindful of time because I want to listen to her and tune in and find out what is happening with the market. So good morning and welcome. We are going to be talking about for sale by owners today. So you should have the class materials in your inbox right now. Let me go ahead and do a share screen. Well, let's see here. Get my, oh my goodness, I'm having issues this morning. Come on, go to full screen. Okay, so we're going to focus the next hour. May not take quite an hour to get through this, but I was talking to Vern a few minutes ago and he said, what are you teaching today? I said, FSBOs. He said, oh, are there actually for sale by owners? I'm like, there are. And said, in fact, right across the street from me, my neighbor's house is a for sale by owner, has been since I moved in a year and a half ago. And they will not, me and several realtors have approached her and she just will not engage us. So, so there are some that just don't, right? But I want you guys if you're being equipped with a plan and got on this email or text thing for leads, and it's for sale by owner leads. And I've bought 2 of them so far. And the first one I bought, I couldn't get in to see, and they ended up listing with an agent. The second one I did get to see, but as I was there, people do go for sale by owner for a hot minute and end up listing their house with someone. So not all of them hate realtors, right? They have different motivations. So we're going to dig into that today and kind of look at a little bit different approach. Is my connection bad? Darn it.
It kind of comes and goes. Like you're good right now, and then in 30 seconds it'll be bad, and it's bad for a second,
you keep
and then it
freezing.
gets better.
Yeah.
What to do? If I turn my video off, you won't be able to see me, and I can't do a share screen if I turn my video off. I don't think anyway. Let me try. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
You can see it even with my video off?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, then you're just going to look at the company logo instead of me today. I don't know what is going on with my internet. I need to call Sparklight today because I've rebooted and I don't understand what's happening. So it just keeps like my bars go to 0 and then back, 0 and back. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe the heats. I don't know. But anyway. All right, let's jump in. So thank you for having some patience there. Okay. So real estate is a get rich business. Here's our scenario that if we were in a room filled with 80 people, and all of those people need to sell their home, you have 20 minutes face-to-face with each person. I want you to answer the question of how many people do you think you could convince to hear your listing presentation? How many could you convince to list with you? Again, there's no competition in the room. What is the percentage of your listings that sell? And in our market, average is 75% because there's still homes that don't sell for price and exposure and condition. And then what's the percentage or the closed transactions, what's your average GCI, and then what will be your total GCI? How many people do you think you could get to talk to you? So thinking about that you have 20 minutes face-to-face with 80 people. What do you think? Could you get 1%? 10%? 50%? How good do you think you are, Rick? Right. So think about that. If you had 80 people, what would be the percentage? And so how many people do we know right now? Inventory is still a challenge, right? And that's why I'm curious to hear what Tina has to say in her monthly update, right? Is inventory still a challenge? I've got some people that I coach in other markets and smaller markets that they've got no inventory, right? No houses on the market. We at least have 12,000 active in the MLS roughly. So that, thinking about how do we create inventory? And so when we were in the pandemic, GCI, oh, sorry, Jill, gross commission earned. Thank you. Gross commission earned is what GCI is. When we were in the pandemic, we kept saying there's no inventory, right? And so by doing that, we created more of what we didn't want, no inventory. And now what are we saying? Nobody wants to sell because of interest rates. That's our new phrase. right? And so what are we creating, Rick, by saying that? More of what we don't want, right? So law of attraction says that what we focus on is what we get more of, what we resist persists. And so we have to change our mindset. The Harvard study says that 13% of the population will still move regardless of interest rates. And so as an industry, we need to knock it off and stop saying that no one's moving because of interest rates, because people will still move. And Kim, if you got someone excited about the opportunities that are out there, would they move? And if Tina's number is correct, that 89%, if you've owned your home for the last 5 years, you've got an 89% gain in equity. Well, hell, you could take that money, buy down a lot of interest rate, right? Or go to a new construction that's offering fixed flat rates. So there is opportunity out there. And as an industry, this kind of hit me this week in coaching. I'm like, or last week in coaching, it's like, we're doing the same thing we did in the pandemic market. It's just a different obstacle that we're creating, right? A different, thing that we're creating in the industry. So we need to stop. Okay. So out of 80 people, ask yourself, how many could you get to at least have a conversation with you? Okay. And then how many people do you know right now that need to sell? Yesterday in our mastermind, Nate challenged all of us, like, we need to be making calls to our database, right? We need to just pick up the phone. So I reached out to 10 people yesterday. All 10 of them engaged me. And so, so I need to up my own game, right? Because making 10 calls for the whole week is lame. Being in this industry 25 years, I should be making 10 calls a day, right? And so thinking about that, get in front of your people, right? Let's create some inventory. Let's create some opportunities. So go back to here. So we should never wake up. Page 3, y'all have heard me say this. It's now mine, even though David Scott was the one who said it. You should never wake up and wonder who needs your services. Don't get out of bed in the morning and wonder who needs to talk to you about real estate. All right. So course overview. We're going to teach you guys a proactive approach for effectively moving into relationship with FSBOs. We want to feel confident enough to follow the FSBO plan. And I'm going to give you guys kind of a unique plan today that's not like anything you have seen before. Most agents, they want to just get the listing, right? They just want to go and get the listing. And while, yes, that is the final objective, I'm going to teach you guys a different way. Okay. And then obviously this is going to increase our revenue. What do we need to have, right? We need to have yard signs, our advertising, internet, just listed postcards, and our client care system. So to be a financially secure, proactive lead generator, right? We are in the business of lead generating. And, so what does that look like if we're phase 1 agent? So hopefully we're working at least 45 weeks out of the year. That gives us a little time for vacation. And if we were to go focus on just 2 appointments per week, that would give you 90 new visits. If only 15% of those set an appointment with you, that would be 14 new appointments. And if you only converted 50%, which the national average is around 65%, and if you tell me that your percentage is 90% or 99%, then you're not going on enough listing appointments. You're only going on appointments with people who know you, like you, right? Your family and friends. And so we want to up that. That would give us 7 additional listings. And if only half of those sold, which we know is not true in the Phoenix market, at least 75% of listings sell, that would be an additional, I'm going to say 5 transactions that you could do. And an average commission, let's just say $10,000, that's 50 grand. Be okay with that, right? Have a little extra, have that in your, have that in your income and your pipeline. All right. So the no do have, that is the suspect that we're going to go talk to. And then that's the for sale by owner. And then we have a 5-step follow-up method that we're going to go through today. So your guys are going to get dialogues on the phone dialogue, a viewing dialogue, a closing dialogue, a follow-up dialogue. And then what do I need to have? So you obviously need to have the properties, right? And then have an inventory sheet, a clipboard and a pen. And I'm going to go over why that's important. Your electronic tape measure, which I'm pretty sure you can buy at WeServe. If not, definitely can get it on Amazon. A seller disclosure, and then a for sale by owner follow-ups, and then thank you notes and a tracking sheet and your map. This talks about starting out at kind of like a 1-mile radius to the office. You could do your neighborhood. It doesn't make sense to think I'm going to go out to Gilbert and work for sell by owners, especially once you understand the plan. So 100% of for sale by owners have an immediate desire to sell their home. So why did they go for sell by owner? Most of the time it's to save money. Most of the time they're willing to pay a co-broke. They just don't want to pay a listing side. Sometimes it's because they don't like agents, but most of the time it's really just about money, right? It's about the money. So if everyone was just to save money, we all drive Yugos. Yugos aren't even cars anymore, right? So the percentage is the value, right? They don't know why we are different and why they need us. Okay. Possible streams of income from this is on page 7 of the materials. The for sale by owner lists their house with you. And would they be willing to pay you a percentage if you brought a buyer? They work with you as a buyer. Sometimes for sale by owners are funny that way. They want an agent to help them find a home, but they don't want to pay one to help them sell their home. You could get referrals. You could give referrals. And then also you could provide a flat fee to help them just write the contract, right? We could do that too. So the goal is to differentiate yourself from the competition. This means you must look, sound, and behave different from the very beginning. Typical behavior results, typical behavior reaps typical results, right? And so we don't want to be typical. We want to be above average. So drive-by. So we want to define our base. Okay. So this is 2 miles. I said 1 mile. So 2 mile radius of either your home or your office. Okay. Sometimes we have to expand that, maybe 4 miles, depending on where they are. And then you could go up to 6 miles, keeping 2 miles in your performance standards, right? So you want to expand on that. Sometimes you may, I would definitely look in your neighborhood, start there, right? Because that makes it easy for that consistent follow-up, which we're going to go over. And then I don't know, maybe looking on for Zillow might be a good place. I think there is a website for sale by owners that you guys could search as well. So just, be on the lookout when you're out and about and you're showing homes. If you see a for sale by owner, stop and get the address, right? Write down the information. Don't just hit the gas, but look at that as an opportunity to add inventory. Okay. Add inventory to your pipeline. Your success with FSBOs will be directly related with your willingness to be productively active and follow up. Okay. So first visit, we want to just go and get the information, right? Find out what their home looks like, where they got it priced at, all of that stuff. And then we want to give them a seller disclosure. This is something of value to them because they're going to need it, right? Most people live in their home, 10, 14 years now is the statistic, I think. It used to be set 5 to 7 now. I think it's longer. So they don't remember. And if they're for sale by owner, they're not going to remember or even maybe know that whenever a home sells by law, they have to provide a seller disclosure. So you show up, Kim, with a blank disclosure and hand it to them. That's an item of value. Step 2 is that we want to then follow up again in a week, and we're going to give them something else. The example here is 100 ways to sell your home. It doesn't have to be that, it can be whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but has to be something of value that helps them sell their home, right? And I know you might think, well, why would I do that? Well, because the more that you try to help them when their home isn't selling, now you've established a relationship, and they're going to look at Kristen and say, wow, why is Kristen doing this for me? Maybe she's different, right? She's not just coming in and trying to get my listing. She's actually trying to help me sell my home. Step 3 is to deliver again something else, right? So we're going to do 4 face-to-face pop-ins to the property and 4 different types of things that we're going to take that are of value. You could take them ways to take title. You could take them, a moving checklist, right? So you could take them, anything that has to do with, maybe it's a lead-based paint. Maybe the house is older and they need lead-based paint. Maybe it's in Sun City and they don't know about the adult communities that they have to disclose, right? So anything that, again, is an item of value that is relevant to them selling their home and helps them get their home sold. And step 5 and beyond, we're going to follow up with phone calls until they either list their house with you or they sell it on their own. Okay. Persistence and tenacity, right? Don't give up. 50% of your competition will quit after week 1. 75% of the competition will quit after week 2. 90% after week 3, and 100% of your competition will quit after week 4. But 80% of FSBOs do actually list with an agent, right? And so I'm going to give you guys, is that on my screen? Yeah, sorry, it was on my screen. I'm going to give you guys some scripts and some dialogues on that. So knock on the door. You got to be careful, and somewhere in here, I don't know which page it's on, but make sure you follow the instructions on the sign. If the sign says call, right, then you want to call. You don't necessarily knock on the door because you don't want to irritate them if you're not following instructions. If it's on Zillow and they have a phone number, you can call, right? But make sure you follow the directions that they're giving you. So, hi, this is Sarah with RE/MAX Professionals. I noticed your home is for sale. Would you mind if I came in and viewed the home and took some room measurements so I can add you to my for sale by owner inventory? Or an alternative is add you to my secret inventory. And again, if they're offering co-broke or not, right? And don't get hung up on that right away, because that could change. That perspective could change. They could tell you no right now, and then that perspective changes. When I went the second for sale by owner I went to a week or two ago, when I initially made the appointment, the husband said, we're not paying commission. And then when I got there, she was like, oh yeah, we have an appointment with an agent next week. So, and I was like, would you like a second opinion? I'd love to come back and give you guys a listing appointment. She was like, no, it's someone we know. We're pretty sure we're gonna list with them. But so see how that perspective changed just in a couple of days, you guys. Just in a couple of days from the time I called to the time I actually got in the door. Okay. 3 things that the for sale by owner could say is, what is that? So this is your opportunity to differentiate yourself. I have a process that I use with all of my buyers where we uncover the criteria for their perfect home. I then take that criteria and match it to homes in both the MLS and my FSBO inventory to make sure buyers who work with me get the home they want, and more importantly, want the home they get. So what do you say? Would you like a preferred exposure to a focused group of buyers? And so that's one. The next one is, do you have buyers now? We don't want to lie, right? If you don't actually have a buyer, you don't want to lie. So, but you just tell them that, yeah, I work with buyers every day. Okay. And then the next one is, we don't want to work with the realtor. That's okay. Right. We're not here to debate that. So I appreciate that. And I understand your concern. The reason for my visit is not to list your home. The underlying part that's bolded is important. I'm not trying to list your home. I would simply like the opportunity to help you sell it. Okay. Very specific language there, you guys. Very specific, and differentiate you from the other agents that just want to bully their way in and get the home listed. Okay. And so then the note here on page 10 is that if you can't come in, still offer the seller disclosure and say, I wish you great success in the sale of your home. Here's my card. If there's anything I can do for you or anyone you know, please don't hesitate to call. And believe it or not, the goal was met. Right? You got face-to-face with the FSBO. And when their house doesn't sell, there's a possibility that they might reach out to you, right? And that doesn't mean you can't follow up again and continue trying to get your foot in the door, right? So if you prefer to call, or if the FSBO sign says by appointment only, same script, right? Would you make, except for now we're just setting an appointment to come out and view the home. Same script here. The same script here, just on the phone. Let's see. Once you're inside the house, okay. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to view your home. Okay. And I'm not gonna read this whole thing to you, but the highlighted part is that it's my experience that room measurements are very important to buyers. Back in the day, you guys, that was huge. You know, I can remember working with a buyer that had inherited furniture from their grandparents or something. And it was super important to them that we had a master bedroom that it would fit their furniture. And we've kind of gotten a little lazy with that, I think, as an industry, that we don't necessarily get room measurements. But when I first started selling real estate, room measurements were a big deal for buyers. And so, you know, when you whip out your little gadget and you start taking measurements, right, it makes you look professional. And then also what happens is, if you hand them, and I think it's in here, if you hand them the clipboard and you ask them to help you write down the measurements, what are we doing? Rick's smiling. It's a closing technique, right? It is a closing technique. And so we want to ask questions. And what are the questions we're asking here? Ford, right? Are you originally from this area? How long have you lived here? What brought you to this area? Why are you moving? What do you do for a living? What got you in that line of work? How long have you been in the field? Do you enjoy your job? What do you do for fun? Do you have any hobbies? So it's all Ford script right there. So, which is, we talk about a lot, right? Is the Ford script. And also, you guys, you want to look at, just like on a regular listing appointment, look for ways to connect. If you see a picture of them in Hawaii on the Black Beach and you've been there before, stop and comment about that. All right. And ask them about their experience going to Hawaii and visiting the Black Beach. And so find ways to connect with them, find ways to find ways to relate, right? And build that rapport. Okay. So like I said, as you're having them write down the measurements, and also asking them, what are the selling features of their home? All right. What are the things that are important to them? What are the reasons why they bought the house? And if they geek out about something, that's an important feature. Right. So don't overlook that, because that's important to them. Okay. So value is in the relationship. We talk about that a lot, right? We don't necessarily need leads. We need relationships. So have you prepared a seller disclosure? What's that? It's basically a notice of disclosure basically a notice that discloses the current condition of your home. The condition of our home is fine. I'm sure it is. However, state law requires you to supply each potential buyer a copy. Okay. And then hand them the seller disclosure, right? So then closing the initial visit. So I really appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to view your home, and I wish you great success in the sale. I'd like to touch base with you weekly so I can keep you informed on your home, keep information on your home up to date. Would that be okay? Would you like me to make copies of the sheet or the seller disclosure? Thank you for your time. If there's anything I can do for you or anyone, please let me know. Don't hesitate to call. Okay. And then we're going to send them a thank you note after the first visit, handwritten note. There is an example on page 21 of the materials. So you don't even have to think about what to say. You just copy what we've given you in the class materials. If they're not home on the initial visit, don't leave anything. We don't want to run the risk of irritating them by leaving something on their stack. We want to try again to get yourself in the door. Okay. The next page in your guys' materials, page 14, is a FSBO inventory sheet. Pretty basic stuff here. But this is a form you're going to take when you go on your clipboard and write down the information, right? Gather the information. And so these are all things that are important details that you need. And again, it's a closing technique to be gathering this information as you're walking through the house. So step 2. So our next follow-up, about a week out, here's your dialogue. I just happened to be in the neighborhood and thought I would drop this off. I definitely think it can help you with the sale of your home. How did it go this week? Are there any changes to the information you provided me? Is there anything I can help with? If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to call. And again, we're going to send a thank you note, page 22 example. If the FSBO's not home, you can definitely this time leave the information there in an envelope. Don't tape your card to the door, but then call to verify that they received the information. Okay. So if they're not home, it's okay this time. We just don't want to irritate them on the first visit that, we just don't want to irritate them because then it just creates a challenge down the road. Step 3, so 7 days, another week goes by. We want to take another item of value. And again, you guys think about stuff that if you're for sale by owner that you might need, ways to take title, even maybe, ways to vet out a lender, what's the difference between cash and financing, all of those things that they might need. So just think about that. And it doesn't have to be the examples that I'm giving you. It could be whatever. Okay. So dialogue. Hi, I was thinking about you the other day and I thought I would drop this by. How did it go this week? Are there any changes? Is there anything I can help with? Please don't hesitate to call if you need anything. Okay. So again, we can leave this stuff if they're not home. But definitely if try to get face-to-face with them, right? So it is better. The more face-to-face time you have with them, the more possibility you have to convert that. So if they're not home, try changing the time that you go visit so that you have a better opportunity to be face-to-face with them. So step 4. So again, another week out, deliver an additional item of value. And here's the script changes. Since you're getting closer to selling your home, I thought this would be of value to you. Okay, so changing that. Since you're getting closer, it's very important because it's designed to solicit frustration from them, because we want them to say, we're not getting closer, we haven't had any offers, why is our home not selling, right? We want that frustration from them. And again, send another thank you note to follow up with them. And I don't know about you, but if somebody that's first by owner and they got 4 handwritten competitions doing, for sure, right? Absolutely. Okay, then step 5 until it sells or you list it is just following up weekly with phone calls. Okay, so touching base with you. How did it go? Any changes I should be aware of? Is there anything I can help with? Okay. At this point, you don't need to send any more thank you notes. Just continue to follow up every week with phone calls and asking them how things are going and if there's anything you can do to help. So always be on the lookout for close me signs. And so I'm not going to read this whole script to you guys because you guys can read yourselves on page 19. But since you're getting closer, why has it? So we want to look for questions like, why hasn't our home sold? Should we drop our price? What should we do? How's the market? So these questions could be asked at any point, right? From visit 1 onto, phone call 5, 6, 7. Okay. Those questions could be asked. And that's really a sign of close me, right? Come out and help me, Rick. I need your help. Okay. So then the script is, it sounds like to me that maybe time for us to get together to discuss exactly what you need in the sale of your home and see if we can create a win-win working relationship. Wouldn't you agree? Okay. And then we want to close for the appointment. And don't be surprised if the FSBO asks, so why are you doing all of this? Okay. And that's okay. That's a great question. So I do this because I believe in a win-win relationship. If I give you things of value that help you sell your home, that's definite win for you. Wouldn't you agree? And if you happen to run across someone who wants to sell a home and doesn't want to go FSBO, you may think of me. And if you do, that's a definite win for me. You see, sometimes there's just value in knowing people. And again, that the parts that are underlined and bolded are the most important parts of the script that we don't want you to change. Right? We want you to use those and keep the verbiage there. It's been specifically written to solicit the type of answers that we want from people. So for sell by owner, should be a written thank you note or just on a thank you note or note card. So here is, if after the initial visit, thank you for the time to show me your home. I really enjoyed meeting you. I wish you much success in the sale. If I can ever be of any help to you or anyone you know, please don't hesitate to call. So you are, by doing this, we are allowing a for sale by owner to discover what a relationship would be like with you. Thank you notes to demonstrate that you care and that you can communicate on a high level. It's a small, simple thing, right? That takes a stamp and a card, but makes you stand out and differentiates you from your competition. I used to actually, when I would go preview houses, I would write a thank you note, and the broker made me stop doing it because a listing agent complained about me that I was trying to solicit the listing. I'm like, I really wasn't. It was just a thank you note. Thank you for letting me preview your home. So I did stop doing it. However, during COVID, I was working with a buyer in Sun City West, and we had written like 5 offers. And my client is super emotional lady. And she just, every time I wrote an offer, was like asking her to give up her unborn child. And so we happened to come across a house that was occupied. And I went, and they were doing an open house. We wrote the offer. I knew the listing agent, and I went back to the open house the next day, and I left a thank you note for the sellers. And I just, thank you for the opportunity to write an offer in your home, blah, 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 blah. And we ended up beating out another offer that was actually stronger because of that stupid thank you note. So don't overlook the power of gratitude, you guys, because sometimes it could be the difference between getting a deal and not getting a deal. Okay. And I don't know about you, but like I have a drawer of notes that people have written to me over time that just make me feel good, and a handwritten note will get opened every time, and there's a high probability that it will sit around for a little bit, okay, until the people get tired of looking at it. Or if you're like me and it goes in a drawer in my filing cabinet, and every once in a while I pull them out and read them, okay. So page 21, so there's examples there for you. Page 22, more examples of thank you notes for you guys, so you don't have to invent the wheel. You can just copy what we've got here provided for you. I keep wanting to say copy and paste, but that doesn't work in a handwritten note. Can't really do that. Okay, so page 23, comprehensive questions. So accountability related questions. So how long has your home been for sale? Have you received any offers? How many times has it been shown? What's been the feedback? Are there similar homes sold while yours has been on the market? Do you think that a for sale by owner can answer all of these questions? I'm going to say no. Right? Especially they don't know to ask for feedback. They could ask, they're going to know how long it's been for sale. They'll know if they have any offers and how many times it's been shown. They're not going to know to ask for feedback. And they certainly don't have access to the MLS like we do to see if homes have sold. Right? Have you guys seen that meme floating around that's like, my neighbor's house sold for whatever, and it's the dude's funny face, like he's got like a weird look on his face? That one's floating around because it's like a comparison of like a little tiny house to like a mansion. And is that what people think though? Right? That's what they think. They don't it's every day at the office for us, it's not for them. Okay. Next questions are exposure related questions. So how are you marketing your home? The lady across the street just has a rickety sign in her yard, and my road, the only people that come on this road are people who live on this road, right? So she's got no exposure, okay? What's been the response? Have any realtors shown your home? If so, what was their feedback? Price related questions. How did you arrive at your price? Well, I went on Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com, right? Oh, well, does Realtor.com, I don't think they give pricing, but Zillow and Redfin do. Or I have to get this price. I think my home is worth it, right? Did you consider the pricing benchmarks and trends that exist? Are you aware of what sold and expired within the last year? Are you aware of supply and demand in your neighborhood, specifically the number of the months of inventory available? Did you consider the consequences of pricing too high? Do you think this kind of information would be of value? And again, they're not going to, other than the first question, they're not going to know any of the other stuff because they don't have access to it. They have access to things that are algorithms, through Redfin and through Zillow. But even that, I mean, it's just, we know that that's not accurate information. Even, I don't know if this was a while ago, but the CEO of Zillow, his house was off by like 15% value from what it sold for what Zillow said it was worth. So we know that Zillow's not correct. We know that Zillow took a massive loss last year, $550 million. Because why? Because we can't sell a house off of an algorithm, right? And so, because algorithms can't smell things, right? Can't smell, can't see, the school across the yard or the crappy neighbor's house, right? Can't see all of that, okay? So these are great questions to ask. Opportunity related questions. So what are you going to do after you sell? Have you prepared a seller disclosure? And then are you willing to pay me a co-broke if I bring you a buyer? And so you want to ask that on your initial visits. And if they say no, that's okay. Because again, perspective can change. And then next time you visit, ask the question again, right? Because again, perspective can change. Let's see, 90%. So 90% buyers have agents. We know that. And you could even share that with them that, there's high probability that if a buyer wants to buy your house, they're going to have a buyer, they're going to have an agent. Closing from price related questions. So you must indicate you possess value beyond the typical agent. So, do you think this information would be of value to you and could help you in your attempt to sell your home? If they say yes, then we want to close for the appointment. Okay. And then now we're going to switch into getting into the listing conversation. So your goal is to get your value proposition in front of people. If a FSBO has an opportunity to experience your listing conversation, the chance of creating a win-win working relationship increases dramatically. But we have to remember that we live in a world of abundance, not scarcity. And right now there's a whole lot of agents walking around in scarcity. Right. We were on the mastermind yesterday and Nate asks how many of us had something in escrow, and one of the agents on there has 4. And Nate, so what are you doing differently? Because everybody else, I was a fat 0 and everybody else was a 1. And we said, what are you doing differently? Right. And so it's her mindset. It's her mindset. This girl's she's on it, right? She's laser focused that she's going to sell real estate. And so we got to get out of the stinking thinking as an industry, because there are homes out there to sell. Right? There are people in your database who would get excited if they knew the opportunities, but all they're hearing are the sensationalized headlines that inflation's bad, we're headed for a recession, right? Have you noticed the prices of gas, which is remarkable because this time of year, usually the prices of gas go up, right? And so there's a lot of opportunities out there, you guys. We just need to get out of the stinking thinking and look for those opportunities, create opportunities, okay? And so lastly, perspectives have tendency to change. So what are you going to do after you sell your home? Will you be staying in the area or you will be leaving town? We'll be looking for another home in the area. And so now we switch into how are you going about finding your perfect home, right? So maybe we could close them into becoming a buyer. And then if they stay there, rather sell first and then look, great. Are you willing to offer a broke? I wouldn't say pay, but I would say our commission. I don't know, just pay me sounds kind of gross to me. So that's my perspective. So then are you willing to pay a commission if I bring you a buyer? Regardless of what their response, we want to write that on your inventory sheet, and don't be discouraged if they say no, because again, after we keep showing up, they could change their minds. Okay. Or the goal is that you get the listing, right? That's the ultimate goal. And then the last page you guys have is your tracking, because as anything in momentum, what gets tracked gets done. And so we want, this is just a really basic, I would actually just take this and maybe put it into a Google spreadsheet or a spreadsheet in general. And you just want to track how many appointments did you go, how many attempts, right? So these are attempts are how many FSBOs did I try to get an appointment with, and then actual visits, actual appointments, meetings, and then did I get the listing? Okay. And then at the end of your prospecting, we always want to talk about what am I glad I did? What do I wish I had done differently? And then what did I learn? And then we want to let it go, right? Let it go and don't end on a bad note. Just like we talked about last week of, working expires, is don't end on a negative, because if you end on a negative, next time that FSBO comes up in your calendar, you're not going to feel inspired to do it. So always finish on a positive and always let it go, right? Release it and let it go and think about, the next time. Okay. Because why? Because we live in a world of abundance, right? Any questions, comments, thoughts? Who's going to go try to find a for sale by owner today? I got one hand. Did you call some expireds last week? You did?
I didn't call them, but I sent over 30 personal notes.
Awesome.
So
Good job.
I'm going to follow up with phone calls this week.
Awesome. I love that. 30 notes. Awesome. Was your hand broken by the time you were done?
Yes, it was.
Cool. Right on. Any other thoughts or comments? No, you guys are all quiet today. We need some more coffee. Rick?
Question. I mean, maybe you can't generalize it. Well, just let me ask a question. Who are FSBO owners? Like, has there been any research done? Who lists their home? And I guess I'm going to find out because I am going to go out and I am going to do the 2-mile radius. But what do we know about them? Like, I'm oblivious. Who in the hell would try to list their home on their own?
They usually, so a lot of times there are people maybe that have bought and sold a lot of real estate, so they feel like they are a little bit more savvy.
Already experts just by doing it.
Yep. So that's one part of their psychology. And most of the time it's just that they don't want to pay a commission. They don't see, am I cutting out? I'm gonna turn my video off again. They don't see value in an agent. And so they just don't see the value in it. So it could be older people, like the lady across the street from me is older. I don't know. Anybody else got any other thoughts on that? Roberta, you got any thoughts on what the psychology might be of a FSBO other than just being cheap and don't want to pay? Oh, she's in a place she can talk.
I wonder, does the typical for sale by owner individual have an understanding of what needs to go in the transaction, what their requirements are? Like, are they reading some how to sell your own home book or something?
Maybe, but I would say on the average, no. So it just comes down to money, or if they've bought and sold a lot of real estate and they think they know what they're doing, which is the most dangerous. Roberta?
Yeah, and I was trying to talk, and for whatever reason I couldn't undo the mic. But yeah, the ones I've ever talked to have either said realtors aren't worth it, which means they don't know what we do, or I don't want to pay a commission, meaning they want more money in their pocket, or as you said, they've bought and sold a lot, and so they think it's really easy, and it's just not something that requires a lot of tasking, and they don't understand all of those documents that are required.
Sure. Yep. Kristen, you came off mute. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I was just going to agree with Roberta. I just in the past, before I got into real estate, the people that I know that tried to do for sale by owner just wanted to save money. And they thought, well, I could just do it on my own without a realtor. So.
Well, and Rick, the house I bought, so this is kind of a unique story. The house I'm in, she was for sale by owner. We found this house on Craigslist. And when I asked her why she was going, she said to me, my best friend is coming over at 5 o'clock tonight to list the house. And so the reason we went for sale by owner is that we know 5 realtors, 2 of which are very close friends. Her husband's best friend and her best friend were both agents. And she said, we didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And so they risked $200,000 in equity. And let me tell you, this lady did not know what the hell she was doing. Like, did not know what she was doing. We had to coach her through the entire thing. Like, didn't know she needed lead-based paint, didn't know she needed she didn't even clean up the dog poop on the side of the house when they left, right? So she did not know what she was doing. So, and she bought this house as a bank-owned property, and one of those agents represented her and advised her that it was okay, that it was okay for her to not do a home inspection. Who would buy an REO property, a bank-owned foreclosure, without doing a home inspection? And then whoever represented her was okay with that. It was terrible. And this house needs a bunch of work. So yeah, that's a different perspective, right? Is that they knew too many realtors and they didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And the one they were going to work with was the one that they felt would get her feelings hurt the most of the 5. So sometimes it's not about money in that situation. So, but I'd be curious, Rick, after you go meet with some of these, come back and tell us what's the psychology of them. if you find anything unique.
I'll let you know.
Awesome. All right, you guys. So tomorrow, Alex is doing an in-person KV core at Arrowhead North. We don't have class on Thursday just because it's July and attendance is usually light because a lot of people on vacation. And then next week we are going to do open houses. So definitely come check that out. It's a great class on how to do an open house on steroids. And then what do we have? Oh, and then Nate is the last Thursday of the month. Nate is doing his farm class. So definitely get that on your calendar because it's a good class. So, and even if you're not farming, it's just a good class, marketing, talking about his brilliance in marketing. So
Is
if you guys
that,
need,
is that in person or online?
No, I believe it's going to be in person at North.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Yes, Alex will be at the office on 67th Avenue in the 101 tomorrow at 9 a.m. So for KV core training, you're welcome, Jill. All right. If you guys need anything, please reach out. Otherwise, have a fantastic day. Please stay hydrated and stay out of the sun. It is ridiculous. And if you need a reprieve, hopefully we get some rain this weekend. So, but you guys stay cool. Okay. And I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.